what was the discussions like to get you more TV time?
So, um, let's see. I started in June of 2023, and those first 3 months, you're training, you're learning the most basic things ever. So first you need to, learn the basics, the fundamentals of pro wrestling, and then, you know, you need to learn all the psychology of like having a match, and like, so it was a process. It takes about like 3 to 4 months before like someone can be ready to have a match.
Hmm.
And then, from there they start putting you on live events, which that's where I made my debut. It was in Davenport, in October for the Rumble. And I believe me and Olena both made our debuts there. Um, and then, like, we just keep training, and it's really about casting and who they want on TV and what role you can fit at the specific time. So
Mhm.
it's like it's a little hard and a little tricky because you kind of never know. Um Obviously I had meetings, with my coaches, and it was always that I was progressing and I was doing the right thing and my promos were getting better. But I truly believe the casting is a big part of WWE. It's not just about how hard you work, and like in sports, it's okay, the hardest worker is going to be on the starting lineup. With
Yeah.
here, it doesn't work like that. And I think I understood that from a very early stage of my pro wrestling career. And I think that's why I'm doing okay now. I understand that a business decision had to be made like towards the end of my career. Only with WWE, because of course not the end of my career just yet. um, but yeah, back to your question. That happened in October. And then I wrestled again in a six tag, about 4 weeks ago. And so I was excited. I had my character going, I had gear. I was really consistent with my promos, and I was like digging into that Fast and Furious, like the I love the cars, type of
Yeah.
gimmick. And then I had my first singles match on a house show as well against Lola Vice, 2 weeks ago. And then unfortunately my career ended with WWE. But yeah, I think you never know. I truly feel like I did everything that I could have. I worked really hard. I lost 9% of body fat. I transformed my body. I tried to turn myself into a star as best as I could and as fast as I could in 11 months. So I truly feel like I did everything I could.
So, what was the reasoning behind you no longer being needed in the WWE, according to them? And then you mentioned the weight loss for a minute. Is that a suggestion, or is that a thing that you did yourself, or you feel like there is the pressure of I need to be this way to get more out of what I'm doing here?
So it wasn't a suggestion. They're very respectful towards, like, yeah, they don't cross that line. No,
Okay.
yeah. But I read this book about pro wrestling, and there's three things when it comes to marketing yourself as a pro wrestler. It's your promos, your look, and your in ring. So, obviously I was working on my promos, I was working on my in ring, but I wanted to be as marketable as possible, and I wanted to be happy with the way I looked, especially if it was time to debut on TV. I wanted to be ready, and I wanted to show them that I was taking this serious, and I wanted to look like a star, and I
Mhm.
wanted to, so that's why I made that decision, and it ended up really boosting my confidence. And I'm very happy and secure with the way I look and the way I am now, rather than at the tryout. I mean, when the show came out and I watched it back, I was like, oof, I was so like shy and in a shell. I low key was like, what did they see in me? But I guess they saw my worth ethic, because I definitely made a huge transformation in just 11 months.
Yeah, of course. And I've seen the pictures of your gear running all over the internet right now with the checkered flags and the just a
Mhm.
new style and the Fast and Furious, Michelle Rodriguez type style and going out there.
Yeah, that is
I love the gear. I love the gear. And so, where does that come from? Like, do you go to your own seamstress? Do you work with someone? Because like I wrestling gear to me, like you're bringing up looks and promos, like your outfit, your gear. When you first walk out and I see your gear, people are like, "Oh man, that person's a star." And I love the
yeah.
gear I've seen circulating the internet. So where'd that come from?
So actually, I have a girl in the UK that made the gear for me, and she does like dance costumes. She actually makes Stevie Turner's gear and Blair Davenport's gear.
Oh, nice.
So I reached out to her, and she was able to see my vision like perfectly, and she made me a perfect set of gear. You know, and it came literally 3 days before I had my singles debut with Lola Vice on the house show in Orlando. So that was just like a really special moment for me, you know. It's like everything came together all at once. I had my gear, I had the look. I was in Orlando where the NXT fans are. I think I got a big push, you know, with that show. And yeah.
Well, I love that gear that's running over all over the over Twitter or X as we call it right now as I knock my microphone over.
Well,
Uh
I'll be wearing that gear this Saturday at Reality of Wrestling. So
perfect because yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity when you see someone who clearly has a design and a goal and a look and then it's like, "Oh, well, like we kind of didn't really jump into it, but it's like why do you think they let you go? Because some people you look at and you say like, okay, maybe they didn't have a look, but clearly you had a look and a design for who you want to be. So what was the reason they gave you?
so they gave me the reason that, you know, creative had nothing for me. Which is I think what they tell everybody, you know, because at the end of the day, it is a show, and if creative has nothing for you, and they don't see you on their show, then it's really no reason like to be paying you, you know. Um, and Coach Bloom, I spoke to him after the decision was made, and I always had a really strong bond with Coach Bloom, even at my tryout. And he knows how hard I worked, and he knows that after that decision was made, I was going to go on the indies and continue to work super hard. And if this is meant for me, you know, like the WWE will definitely come back around, and I'll be able to showcase myself after I have found myself and be just a better version of myself.
Yeah, of course.
um,
Yeah, I
but yeah,
can't wait.
I mean, I guess, you know, creative had nothing for me, and I would say I was getting good at all of the boxes, but I wasn't great at one thing. And I think that that's really important, you know, like someone's either really good in the ring or someone is just this extravagant character, you know, like you have to just be over the top with this business. And I think that that's something that I was struggling to find, but I'm starting to find my groove now. And I think that, you know, wrestling on the independents, I'll definitely, you know, get a feel for what the crowd likes, what they don't like. You know, I'll be confident and I'll find myself as a performer and as, you know, a character out there.